application for this regulatory environment. I mean, it's clear that compliance is a major factor shaping how business interact with stablecoins, right? So I also want to ask Xavier, as I know, OSL Pay moves billions in institutional payments. Where are stablecoins actually displacing traditional payment rails in Asia?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Olivia. From our perspective, I think stablecoin payments or having the ability to actually basically connect the fiat world to stablecoin requires actually a lot of underlying, not only technical infrastructure, but regulatory and compliance infrastructure. OSL Pay actually has been benefited by our global license coverage. They actually gave us not only the technical rails, but also the compliance clearance to actually process the payments and actually settlements for our partners and clients from various verticals. We have Web3 partners. XT, for example, has recently announced that we are integrated with XT to actually help their users have that fiat to crypto rail. And we also have actually a lot of flows that are currently originating and being a destination to, including Latin America, South Africa, and the emerging markets in general that actually find using stablecoin as a tool for B2B payments, for example, or for other purposes. It is probably easier and more predictable compared to, for example, settling in local currency or using the US dollar as a cross pair to do that. And we actually see this is going to be a trend moving forward, as evidence in the fact that since last year, we have seen both Tether and Circle being the leader in stablecoin issuers keep printing and expanding the supply of the total stablecoin that's circulating in the market. But we have also witnessed that a lot of these stablecoin is not only limited, for example, to crypto trading purposes. So I think that is going to be continue to be the trend. And we are here to actually build that compliance first global infrastructure that can enable more connectivity and accessibility for B2B scenarios.
Thank you for your insightful thoughts. So let's go beyond the white papers. Where are you seeing stablecoins drive real utility today? The first one I'm going to ask Mayne. So Mayne, with OSL's vantage point, what innovation solutions are you implementing for last mile fiat conversion?
Right. So in the OSL Business Pay unit, we focus on a few product line. So the very first one is actually what we call crypto acceptance payment. So basically very simple. If you have a checkout page right now, it's actually a API plugin. So what you do when you check out on the e-commerce site, you can actually use cryptocurrencies to purchase that bag or services online. Then what OSL Display do is we will actually we'll collect the cryptocurrency, the stablecoin, and we'll convert it to fiat, and we'll pass it to the merchant on the very next day. So this is actually one of our core product. So we actually see stablecoin more as a tool to solve real world problems than traditional payment, whereby it used to be expensive, it used to be long, it used to be inefficient. So for this crypto acceptance or stablecoin payments, we do see it actually helps to solve a lot of cross-border issues. It's cheaper in fees and it's faster in time. So crypto acceptance is one of our core product, and then the second core product is probably what we call the crypto payout tool. So imagine if you are TikTok right now, you would like to pay your KOL or content creators in coins. So all you have to do is to top up or pre-fund us in fiat. We will help you to convert that fiat to USDT or USDC, and we'll send it instantly across to that KOL's wallet. So basically, we are actually building a much faster and better ecosystem for the payment world, in my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you. That's quite useful. Yeah, I think fiat is very important to change like the digital payments way. So, Chuck, combining your investment banking background with Polyflow's payment infrastructure work, where are you seeing stablecoins drive the most real-world utility today?
At the moment, the biggest use case of stablecoin right now is likely the cross-border payments side. That's a lot of international trades, and one of the main things that we do at Polyflow is to provide that infrastructure that enables cross-border payments. Right. Just one real life example: if you were to send money from, let's say, Brazil over to Vietnam at the moment, we're likely talking about a minimum of 6 to 8% of cost, and most likely T+3 to T+5 days worth of waiting to be able to send money from Brazil over to Vietnam. Right, and that's going through no less than 4 different financial institutions, from the ones who are converting Brazilian reals to USD, and then sending the USD out to local institutions, and then converting that back into local currencies. There are 3 or 4 different layers of intermediary that needs to happen with fiat, right? And with stablecoin, a lot of that is being simplified away. Through stablecoin payments, likely the cost is going to be no more than 1 percentage point, rather than compared to the 6 to 8% of cost. We're essentially using stablecoin that's lowering the cost by 6 to 8 times. And the timing to do the actual transfer cross-border there is most likely T+0 or T+1, considering the time zone difference. So it's 3 to 5 times faster than the fiat side, right? So naturally, a lot of folks are gravitating towards using stablecoin to do a lot of these cross-border payments, especially for folks who are doing international trade, for paying off their suppliers, or anything of the like. So that's one of the biggest areas that's being used right now. As for the future, with the clarity in the stablecoin institutional and regulatory approvals, we're seeing a lot of folks, especially banks, kind of quietly getting into the stablecoin usage. Recent surveys have shown that the major financial institutions are using stablecoins. Mostly, at least 50, or slightly more than 50%, are using them for cross-border payments, but the other 50% are being used for the likes of consumer settlements, for treasury and or liquidity management, these type of things. Also, in terms of payments acceptance and or B2B invoicing, accounting for the other 50% altogether. Right, so these are all areas where the institutions are adopting stablecoin usage, whereas the current biggest usage is still the cross-border payment side.
Thank you, Chuck. Stablecoins has become more and more important than before. So my question is to Richard. I want to know, how are trader behaviors evolving with stablecoins?
Yeah, so I think the biggest demand is in terms of stable coins are still heavily being traded on XT. So most of our volume runs through USDT and USDC, right, across spots, margin, and futures. So traders, the behavior that we are seeing is that traders still prefer stable coins because they are fast, liquid, and perhaps easy to hedge with. So we are also seeing a shift. More users are holding stable coins between trades, using them like a base currency, like a main currency. And I think that's a clear sign that the users actually have trust in it, and not just for the use of utility, but as a part of their trading strategy. So I think in terms of just a little bit more is that I think on and off ramp is actually growing too. So yeah, we are really happy to be part of to integrate with OSL in terms of our partnership to touch on off-ramp and on-ramp as well.
Thank you so much. Good to know. Xavier, are you seeing more demand in trading, cross-border payments, on-off ramping, or other vertical? We want to know.
Well, I think trading is definitely still, from a Web3 native point of view, the default or go-to use case for stablecoins. And I think now, as Chuck has mentioned, with the sort of approval or passage of Genius Act, of Clarity Act, that really sets a global ground framework for governments across different countries to rethink our payment infrastructure, or to reposition stablecoin as really a viable parallel rail to the current SWIFT-driven global payments, or for example, SEPA, the Pan-Europe payment framework, and even the local ones in Hong Kong, in Singapore. I think there will be really more and more global integration and alignment in terms of the framework. And I think that's really, as some of our friends have already mentioned, open up the floor for more acceptance and adoption of stablecoin based payment. And I think that really is going to improve a lot on cost savings and efficiency. I think Chuck also quoted numbers, multiple times of time saved and multiple times of cost saving. And I think we are actually focusing right now on bringing and enabling more Web3 native integration with crypto payments, with fiat on-off ramp at massive scale. And I think what has changed right now is really the trust parameter, that people are no longer wary of using stablecoin, especially if they are sort of interacting via a compliant platform like OSL Pay, that they know that they can sleep at night without having worried about transaction getting rejected, card getting blocked, or having banks calling them up and asking them about source of funds, source of wealth. And I think that just erased a lot of these hassles and inconvenience. And as more and more of this previous friction gets resolved and smoothened out, we really see a very bright future in terms of the blurring lines of Web 2 and Web 3 and financial payments as a whole.
Thank you, Xavier. Lots of very practical information so far from our industry experts. And I want to say welcome everyone to this AMA session. Listener out there, be sure to give a shout out, like a retweet, and follow the panelists if you like what you are hearing. So let's jump into next question. Despite all the buzz, stablecoin usage is far from mainstream. What are the top bottlenecks, technical, regulatory, user experience? So I want to ask Rachel, from your SaaS experience, what's the single biggest roadblock keeping stablecoins from going mainstream? Hi, Rachel. Can you hear me, Rachel? All right, maybe we turn to next panelist. So Chuck, Polyflow bridges TradFi and DeFi. From your unique vantage point, what's the critical path to unlock stablecoin adoption?
I think we are kind of on the way of mass adoption. I think the biggest roadblock, as the prior question had noted, was kind of regulatory being unclear, right? So now that we know the regulations from various different regions are becoming clear, and we have more trusted Web2 parties coming onto the platform, is this going to be no longer as big of a roadblock? I think the next roadblock is going to be likely the user experience, right? So whenever we say mass adoption, we tend to say we want to bring everybody out there in the world onto the usage of stable coins. But I think it's not very mainstream simply because there is a chasm essentially for folks to cross, a learning curve for regular folks not versed in Web3 to figure out what exactly is a wallet to start, and then getting stable coins into their wallet and then being able to use that. That's all a bit of learning curve. So I think education, for one, is going to be the next big block. And two, it really is in terms of user experience. I think the proper way to mass adoption is likely what I would sometimes jokingly call Web 5.0. That's your Web 2.0 plus your Web 3.0 added together, so that folks no longer actually feel that there is a difference between what they're used to in the Web 2 world to what the Web 3 world can offer. Right. So if a user doesn't even let the user see that they've crossed into the Web3 world, then folks are much more likely to adopt. And this is very important piece of going forward, piece of puzzle that we need to kind of put together. That is to create a set of user experience that kind of allows the users to traverse both Web 2 and Web 3 world seamlessly without actually feeling that they've left one or another. I think that's the proper way to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. It's quite an interesting concept of Web 5.0. Yeah. So, Rachel, are you back? Back? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Thank
for
you
sure.
so much, Olivia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, as I ask from your sex experience, what's the single biggest roadblock keeping stablecoins from going mainstream? Thank you.
I think I think first and foremost would be, I would think one of the biggest roadblock for us would be access. I think for many users, getting their first stable coin can still be a little bit clanky, I would think, whether it's due to payment limitations or especially for KYCs. Perhaps it could be a little bit more complicated for new users. That's number one. I think second would be fragmentations. I think there are many more stable coins out there now. And of course, for liquidity wise, I think it's very scattered since there's so many stable coins out there. So that kind of like creates slippage, and of course, especially for larger trade values. I think third would be, I think, trust. Users probably still ask questions such as, especially I think for the new users, they will probably ask things like, can I cash out easily, or is this fully backed? I think there are still concerns that users may still have. So I think for XT, we are working through tightening RAMs, on-ramp and off-ramps integration, focusing on deep liquidity pairs and making sure we only onboard stable coins that we can stand behind. Yep.
Thank you so much. Good to know it. So, Xavier, from OSL Pay's payment infrastructure perspective, what are the maybe top 3 bottlenecks limiting stablecoins payment adoption at scale? I just want to know.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And actually, instead of calling these obstacles, these actually are the windows of opportunities that our team at OSL Pay is trying to capture. Because as I think Rachel has mentioned, Chuck has mentioned, right now the UX of stablecoin really connecting into different kind of use cases, be it in real life or in the Web3 world, can still seem not smooth, to say the least, and also fragmented. So what we are trying to do here is to really become the invisible layer that help to actually smoothen this experience, so that, for example, if you are a user that has no crypto wallet, you can actually rely on your existing sort of infrastructure you have, being a card, being a bank account, to actually transact smoothly, Or if you are a Web3 native user, you have crypto assets, to actually reconnect that back to your sort of in real life experience. We want to actually provide that at a backbone, so that you can actually seamlessly move your assets and liquidity across this. And we are actually working actively with a lot of different partners in different verticals. XT, again, being a prime example of a good Web3 experience provider that, for example, user do not really need to set up an independent wallet, having to safeguard their own seed phrase or private keys, but operate that through the account they hold at XT. And we actually hope to actually broaden the use case of that to actually provide more utility and functionalities for users who are on the platform. And what we're also trying to improve on the sort of angle of fragmentation is that we have users doing KYC on different platforms. If you are a customer of a certain Web3 platform or even Web2 platform, you have gone through probably rounds and rounds of pretty much the same KYC. So what we're trying to do is actually harmonizing or uniting the underlying customer data that has been collected over and over again to try to reduce or minimize repetitive data collection. And we actually sort of gatekeep this on a higher level for example, our institutional partners, so that for the users to actually use services or products, we hope to achieve the experience something to the tune of nowadays. If you just go on to a new social media platform, you can log in with your Apple ID, Google ID, Facebook ID, and so on and so forth. We actually want to provide that experience in the future. That no more new standalone account creation, no more sort of isolated KYC process. And I think that is going to help a lot of people cross that chasm, as Chuck has mentioned, to be able to enjoy really a better payment experience.
Thank you, Xavier. I hope that seamless future can be coming soon. So, Mayne, what's the dominant bottleneck category holding back stablecoin adoption? Could you share one specific example where OSL overcame this in your infrastructure?
Sure. I think from the business pay, because we are mainly crypto payment priority. So basically for our product itself, I think what we see in the market for customers is more on, the long compliance or long onboarding process. So we are also trying to make the onboarding process much more seamless. Yeah. So if for our department, we are looking at how we can actually streamline the onboarding process to make it a lot more seamless. For example, let's say if we can get the KYC procedure, compliance procedure down to, let's say, a merchant can go live or get an account within, let's say, days, like 3 to 4 days, then I think it would be great comparing to competitors, because main thing it's, many competitors, they have very long onboarding process and stuff like that. So I think clients, what they want to see, or merchants, what they would like to see is smooth onboarding process and to get the account fast and live. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And let's jump to next question. We're seeing very different models emerge. For example, like Strip is focusing on building tools and APIs. On the other hand, companies like Amazon and Walmart are exploring issuing their own stablecoins. And in the Web3 context, people are pushing for fully open stablecoins rails. So, Chuck, as an infrastructure builder, where are you placing your strategic bets in this field? Yeah.
I think it's a very good question, because it's a fast evolving world right now, especially now with the regulatory clarity and folks are coming into this space. Everyone has a slightly different interpretation of how to use it. What I can say is, in terms of like who's right. I don't think any one set of company has the perfect answer for how to use stablecoin, and that's why you're seeing so many big names, doing their own thing. As to who is more right than the others, I don't know if there's really a question for that. It really comes down to who has the more, who can convince their users better to adopt in their own model. Because there's way too many ways to do one thing, right? So each of these guys being large enough, Stripe, the likes of Amazon and Walmart and Ant Financials and JD, all of these guys have their own set of users, have their own set of user experiences, and whomever can convince the users to adopt their way of doing things, I think is going to win out. As for us in Polyflow, we are really agnostic in terms of which type of stablecoin to be used, as long as it is a stablecoin, and we are all chain, so it doesn't really matter. We're not limited to any one particular chain. So I think in the end, there's going to be a lot of need for service companies like us that can bridge across chains. And bridge across different stable coins, because I predict in the next year to 3 years or so, there's going to be an explosion of various different type of stable coins being issued from anybody who's able to issue them. Banking entities, major tech companies, anybody who essentially have some kind of effect on payments, they're going to try to issue these. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of need for companies that have aggregation and orchestration type of capabilities. So that's where we're going to be trying to focus our efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. I think PayFi is very popular. Yeah. So also, I want to ask Xavier, because you're also from the OSL Pay, from your perspective, which strategy best accelerates mainstream stablecoin adoption and why?
Well, I think it really has to come down to, I would say, pretty much first principles. Where are the customers and what is their demand? So I think we actually look at existing stablecoin liquidity or the usage. Centralized exchanges, for example, is still one of the dominant stablecoin use case, and we also see Web3 native applications like DeFi wallets, DEXs, aggregators, lending protocols, and I think recently the rise of PerpDex are all actually attracting a lot of liquidity. And we want to actually go where the users go first, and actually provide that invisible, as much as possible, payment capability and solutions to the users on these platforms. And we also are working with not only Web3 wallets, but more, I would say, local service providers, including, for example, QR codes network, including e-wallet service providers, to actually plant ourselves into their flow. And of course, I would say that includes e-commerce websites as well, importers, exporters, and that's where the line gets a bit blurred. But that is actually where users are, and that is what we are going after. And I'm very happy to share that we're making very good progress there. Our product backlog now is actually stretching into weeks, and I think our product engineering folks are under a lot of delivery pressure, but I think it's a happy problem to have that shows despite, for example, some of us may see crypto market in general has not been performing as well as we have expected, there are still a lot of underlying demands that goes beyond what meets the eye.
Thank you, Xavier. Rachel, which stablecoin adoption model aligns best with the real trader demand? Where do you see the 2025 inflection point? Oh, I think Richard just dropped out. Okay, so maybe we turn to Mayne. Mayne, as a licensed platform, where do you see the biggest regulatory advantage?
For me, honestly, I think in terms of market-wise, we do see a lot of adoption in LATAM, in Europe, in MENA countries. So basically, we are also hoping that, in the Southeast Asia, more and more adoption. But of course, the regulations in Southeast Asia is much tighter. So, I mean, I do hope that, in the future, when things get better and, the regulations and all, there may be some different changes as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayne. So let's jump. I just want to check about Rachel. Do you get back? Okay, I maybe will leave
Hey,
this.
Olivia.
Oh, glad to hear
Sorry.
yours. Yeah.
So I was in the tunnel. Yep.
No worries.
Yes. Yeah. So we were on the question of whether if it's Street, Amazon, or Web3 moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So I think I honestly personally I agree with Chuck. I don't think that it's gonna be like a close fight, especially when every other institution has, I would say, their advantages and of course the direction that they are going. So I think in terms of Stripes, they are, correct me if I'm wrong. Stripe is actually making it easier for merchants to perhaps plug in stable coin payments, and then for Amazon and I think Chuck also mentioned Walmart's. They are trying to lock users into their own playground, right? And especially for Web3, I think it's gonna be a wild one. Web3 is borderless. There's no restriction, right? So I don't think it's gonna be a real fight, but really everyone has its own part. So if you were to put into layman term, I would choose to put it in a way that to say that it's gonna be more like a group project, and everyone's just doing their own part of their homework. I mean, if you're going to put into layman perspective. So for XT perspective is that I don't think we are picking any sides. We are also building all around it, like for fiat RAMs, merchant coins, and also for Web3 rails. So eventually we see that, I mean, we do see that the users out there, eventually they want it to be fast, and they want it to be cheap, and it has to be accessible anywhere without just like how we're using cash nowadays. It's no brainer. So I think eventually that is where the users want it to be, or even better, like even faster. So yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So with active stablecoin pilots in Hong Kong, a vibrant user base in Southeast Asia and evolving clarity in the Middle East, is Asia and the surrounding region poised to lead the next wave of stablecoin innovation? So, Mayne, with Hong Kong stablecoin sandbox and OSL regional license, does Asia already have the regulatory and liquidity depth to lead?
Sorry. So you were saying it's Asia too late or what? Sorry, I don't get the question.
Oh, yeah. The question is Asia and the surrounding region poised to lead the next wave of stablecoin innovation?
Of course, let's say if we were talking about the pioneers, it would definitely be, more adoption, like I mentioned, in Europe, in LATAM and stuff like that. But we do see a trend coming up in, of course, the Asia countries. And of course, I have to say, in terms of rules, regulations, license, infrastructure, especially in Hong Kong or Singapore, in terms of pioneers, we are the pioneers in terms of fintech and finance. So I would think that yes, there is, even though we are a little bit late on crypto and stuff, but I think we'll definitely pick up and probably be the leaders as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. OSL is quite famous in Asia. And I also want to ask Chuck, your TradFi and DeFi bridges say capital flows. Is Asia's stablecoin innovation held back more by fragmented rails or lack of institutional grade FX liquidity? How do you see this question?
I think in terms of liquidity, that for sure the Western world has more of that, and that's reflected in the regular stock market and bond market as well. I think for Asia, institutional adoption, I think the biggest hurdle there is still kind of regulatory. With Hong Kong kind of being a sandbox and kind of leading that side, I think that kind of brings Hong Kong back into the focus a little more in being a financial center within Asia. So I do see Hong Kong, being able to carve a name for itself in terms of stablecoin related financial center. With things that are currently happening in Singapore and in other regions, I feel like the biggest hurdle for Asia to kind of go over is really the many countries having their own different interpretations of how to deal with the stablecoin and innovation around stablecoin, right? Whereas in the Western side, the U.S. kind of tend to lead by example and kind of be a lighthouse type of figure, whereas the other Western countries tend to follow suit to what the U.S. does. So I think for Asia to overcome what U.S. is already doing in terms of their stablecoin regulations, U.S. The Asian side, I foresee countries coming up with their own set of regulations, especially the likes of Japan and or Korea. I don't know if China is going to do it, but Hong Kong seems to be the testing ground. So we'll see how that happens. But in terms of liquidity, it's not nearly as big as the Western market. But we do know that Southeast Asia has some countries that have very high crypto adoption. So hopefully, it will be the will of the people that kind of drives the real adoption of stablecoin in Asia. If we can get more folks, adopting to the usage of stablecoin in terms of payments and in terms of regular day, financing, or financial instruments, then I foresee there's a real chance for Asia to take the lead in terms of the stablecoin innovations around the stablecoin and financial system around stablecoin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck, for letting us know about those utility and everything about stablecoins. And Xavier, OSL Pay moves value across Asian daily. And are stablecoins actually displacing SWIFT in corridors like Hong Kong to Philippines? And what still needs to happen to make that possible?
Well, definitely we are seeing that stablecoin based cross-border payment as establishing itself as a viable alternative to traditional banking rails, including SWIFT, and that is predominantly US dollar driven and US dollar settled. And in Europe, we're also seeing SEPA Instant. And in Latin America, we are seeing PIX being, for example, driving the payment space from a TradFi rail perspective for Brazil. And what we are seeing is really stablecoin as probably a very intuitive and useful tool for the global South economies and markets to be used. And Southeast Asia, for example, we are also seeing very strong adoptions. But again, I think there are still fragmentation or sort of isolation or operating in silo as we have observed. And we actually aim to become the underlying connecting tissue for the different players that are building stable coins or building sort of user acquisition tools on top of that. So one of the simple future we are dreaming at a team of OSL Pay is in the context of, for example, Southeast Asia. You can take or use a sort of wallet or application of a choice, and say if you are traveling to Vietnam and you sit down to buy a bowl of pho, you can use that just as how you would, for example, be in Thailand, in Bangkok, trying to buy a bottle of Thai milk tea. You do not need to, in the future, sort of exchange local currency, hold hard notes, and knowing that whatever the choice of your wallet or sort of money app that you use in general, you can actually sort of easily enjoy the breeze of payment with the network of partners that are integrated with OSL Pay.
Thank you, Xavier. And I also want to ask Rachel, how do you say about Asians' role in the global stablecoin race? Like, what would trigger mass merchant adoption?
Yeah, thanks, Olivia. I think for Asia itself, specifically maybe Southeast Asia, I think there has been recently there's quite a big change, but I would say change is good, especially when we are already moving so fast, and that's why I think there is some changes. But the adoption is definitely real, right? In terms of on and off ramp trading and remittance, it's real world usage, right? So I think to answer your question, I think what could be the next wave? I think two things that needs to happen. One would be cross-border. Rails need to perhaps make it more simpler, and also for local ramps to scale. But of course, there are many other factors to just, for me to even just say that for cross-border to make it more simple and for local ramps to scale, there are more behind it in terms of like regulations involving like compliance, and of course the technical part, like how is it going to make transfer easier, and especially in emerging markets where stable coins are so useful, right? So in terms of XT perspective, we are actually building partnerships to fix this two issues, which is to make cross-border simple and for local ramps to scale. So we are connecting payment gateways with different partners, banks and fiat ramps across the region, so users can actually move stables and not just to simply just hold them. So we don't need more pilots, we need more real usage that works across borders.
Thank you, everyone. So because of the time, so I have one last quick fire question for each of you. Like, in one sentence, what's your boldest prediction for stablecoins in the next 12 months? Starting from Chuck.
Oh, wow. Just one sentence. Bold predictions. Sure. It's not nearly as much of a prediction as what I hope, but I'm hoping that stablecoin driven cross-border payments will account for, let's say, 5% of total cross-border payments globally.
Nice. How about Xavier?
Yeah, we hope to actually see more B2B payment and adoption for stablecoin-based settlement. It's actually hard to actually quote a number, but I think we are seeing already increasing bilateral arrangements, but we actually want to see this taken to the next level of, for example, the whole supply chain sort of value transfer and payment settlement completed solely on the stablecoin rail.
Thank you. How about Mayne?
Yep, same thing. I think it's very hard to... hello, can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sorry. So same thing, it's very hard to put a number to it, but if from my perspective, I just hope that stablecoin adoption will actually inch up steadily over the next quarter, and of course, supported by clearer regulations, deeper treasury-backed reserve, and we wish to see more growth in the payment and settlement use case. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's turn to Rachel.
Yep, I think I'll just complete it with just simply one sentence. Is that perhaps sooner or later we'll be able to buy our bubble tea using USDC. Yeah, that's for me.
Nice. Okay, thank you all for this insightful discussion, and thank you all for participating, everyone. From Mayne's take on Asia's regulatory edge to Chalk's infrastructure insights, Xavier's real-world payment insights, and Richard's user behavior trends. I mean, it's clear Asia is leading the next wave of stablecoin innovation, but we still need to bridge the gaps together. Big thanks to Mayne, Chalk, Xavier, and Rachel for sharing their expertise. And thank you, everyone, for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.